What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another trade recap. We're going to talk about OMH today on Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. I'm posting this midday because I had traded this one, took about 45 minutes to play out. And I had told my group, the Consistent Profits community, that I was originally bidding WW. I had seen that, and we'll come back to OMH in a moment. That had really good news today. I had seen a really good demand zone down here in pre-market, but it just never hit that. And so I wanted to convert over that buying power to another potential trade idea. So I instead picked OMH. I had seen that OMH had good news. They reported 118% revenue growth for their fiscal year 2024. And so the way I was looking at this was, and this is also where I want to go over, like I could have traded this better and made my zones a little bit tighter. And this is kind of a cardinal rule here of what I look at, is that when I see this demand zone followed by technically another zone leading into this demand zone, try to combine both of these zones and not necessarily starting from the top all the way to the bottom, because that's 13%. And really what I'm looking for is how can I kind of capture the best parts of each of these. So this would have been a much better zone, and one I would have felt comfortable if I had started buying it around 310, taking it down to about 285, stop out underneath. However, I actually started loading shares around the 317 range. I think I was saying, yeah, I had gotten, I mean, I had originally had like a 316 average, and then I had put all these areas where I was buying and bidding lower, which eventually got me to a 304 average. And that was basically hovering right underneath here for a while. There was actually one really quick initial hit in the zone. Kind of went from 303 up to VWAP at 316, which would have been a small move, but notable nonetheless, just under 5%. However, to me, I wanted to see a bigger move here. So I was collecting shares and eventually wound up with a 304 average, and it was hovering in this range for a while. I was starting to get tired of this play, and I really thought that, if these two 5-minute candles didn't form a higher low from here, or even double bottom, and it went under, I was going to stop out. So I'd initially told chat that I was going to stop out at like 280. I'd put my stop around 287, 286. But really, if it broke this level, I was imagining it was going to come cratering back down. So I actually did move my stop back up, and I had kind of re-explained that. I had created an automated order for this too, since I was stepping into a meeting. So I set it for, we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Automatic take profit stop losses at a take profit of 312, stop loss at 288. And then for the other set of shares, 309 and 287. So I was able to, I had a feeling like this was going to be, around here was going to be the make or break candle. So it was either going to keep forming those higher lows, or it was going to come back down. And thankfully, we got our move. I put 309 as this first area because it was kind of the top of this box in this zone. And then, I would have loved to see it hit 316, but I didn't want to take any chances, just assuming it was going to go back and hit VWAP. So I had my other shares I sold out of at 312. Yeah, so we barely got that. This went up to 313, and then now it's been coming back into the zone. I'm done with the play. I'm glad that it worked out. However, I think it's so important when really, especially when you see two zones that are close together. I mean, even something I'm going to start playing around with more is, from the sort of the bottom of this zone, these candles are, to here would be an even better range, right? Because then I'm only buying between 289 and 302. And then any of these moves are these nice quick jumps, and I would have had a much better average than 304 here. So that's something to kind of note in the future, seeing these two potential zones close together. I looked at the 10-minute and the 15-minute. I didn't see anything there. If I was going to consider looking at another setup here, I would probably be considering this 15-minute zone down here for anything more between 260 and 274, maybe even 275. Could see it kind of coming back down here if it clips under this zone, and then looking for a move back into this like 286 area. That could be another afternoon setup for you. And then, WW, this one definitely had the 5-minute look down here, just never hit that. And then I think we saw in this series took us up to high of day, had a breakout up here since we closed over this previous zone. So yeah, I didn't play this one. I didn't really like the structure of these candles here. This one is kind of my next zone that I would be looking at, kind of this like stair stepping up to here. So this is about a 10% range. There's ways it can be adjusted even more. If we wanted to take, even potentially a smaller zone, maybe to the bottom of this red candle down to these wicks. That could be really, if it can come back down to about 65 to 68, maybe even, it could come back down and test 70. So I might consider some shares there. And then the majority of my buys under here, and then a stop loss under 65, essentially, like maybe like 64. Yeah, maybe I'd put like 64.5 would be a stop loss. So there's a trade recap for OMH, and then also some other ideas for WW. Just kind of keeping it small with the stocks that I'm really watching and looking at today, trading the news, using the blueprint guide in order to do that. If you're having any challenges with your own trading, please don't hesitate to reach out. It would mean the world to me for you to like, subscribe, comment, share this video with anyone else who might find it useful, and I hope you have an amazing, prosperous week ahead.